If you're watching this and you're hanging on by a thread, this video is for you. Not because I've got all the answers, but because I've been exactly where you are. I'm not going to give you a testimony that sounds like a church bulletin either. I'm going to tell you what actually happened. The military, the discharge, the streets, the addiction, the rooftop, the phone booth, and the night that God met me in a desert. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the story behind the channel, who I am, where I'm from, and why I spend my time talking to men I've never met about things that most men will never say out loud. And there is one moment in this story, a phone operator in the middle of the night, that I haven't thought about in years until very recently. And when I did, I realized something. She saved my life. And I'll get to that. Don't go anywhere. Most men who do what I do will stand up and tell you their credentials. And I get that. But I'm going to tell you my wreckage instead, because the man that I'm talking to right now, you don't need to hear my resume. You need to know that I've been in the dark and that there's a way out. It all started when I was 11 years old. My friend died by unaliving himself. Not a stupid word, unaliving, but I guess that's what we have to say in this day and age. I was a month away from turning 12 and I didn't have the language for it then. Nobody gave me the language for it. There was no counselors on board. My parents didn't know what to do, so they did nothing. And something shifted inside of me that I wouldn't understand for years. Depression, it moved in, and I became a totally different kid, quieter, angrier, more disconnected. Nobody named it, nobody seemed to care either. By the time I was 14, I was drinking, and marijuana came along, and I'm not going to go into everything that followed, but I will tell you this. It cost me my mental development, my relational development, my ability just to build anything that might last. But here's the thing about that kind of slow destruction. You don't notice it happening. You just keep moving moment to moment, no tomorrow, no plan, just right now and the next corner. And I graduated from high school somehow, and then I joined the military. When I walked into that recruiting office, they tested me and I scored in the top 5%. And they wanted me in officer school, wanted me leading men, which I thought was a big joke. I didn't want that. I needed something that would just test my resolve, my limits. I wanted the infantry. That's who I was, and that's what unprocessed rage and years of slow destruction produces in a man. It's not weakness, it's misdirected strength. It's a weapon with no mission. So the military gave me something that I hadn't had before though. Brotherhood, duty, honor, respect. A sense that the man beside you matters and you do not leave him behind. I had structure, I had purpose, and I had brothers. And then when I was discharged, within a year, I was on the streets. That's the part nobody talks about. The men who served, who had the brotherhood, who knew what it felt like to be part of something, and then came home and had nothing to come home to. No mission, no structure, no one watching your back. The streets didn't break me. The emptiness after the military did. Life on the streets is really moment to moment. Lots of violence, lack of sleep, endless walking, riding the subway just to stay warm. And I ate well. I made friends with restaurant owners, people who looked out for me. But in some ways, I almost lived like a king, except I had nowhere to sleep. And that's the thing about street life that nobody on the outside really understands. It strips tomorrow out of you completely. There is no future when you're living like that. There's only now, the next hour, the next corner. And a man who stops believing in tomorrow can't build anything. The rooftop fight happened downtown Toronto. Multiple people, my jaw was cracked, broken, just hanging. Now I walked away from that fight feeling, well, honestly, pretty good about it, because that was the world that I was living in. That was the currency I understood. And I ended up in a bus shelter on King Street, bleeding, jaw was screaming, nowhere to be. And then I looked up and there was this picture of a fundraiser for the Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto. And there was a nurse holding an infant, tubes, nose in the mouth. And I looked at that child and something broke open in me. It wasn't guilt, definitely not religion, but it was something that I didn't even have a name for yet. And I realized in that moment, if I did not get off the streets, I was gonna die. And for the first time in a very long time, I didn't want to die. I got up, found a payphone. I called an old girlfriend, Colette, and she was a few provinces over. She had a roommate Well, they took me in, and I thought I could do detox all by myself. Couldn't do that. A couple weeks in, everything was seemingly good, but then I ran raving mad down the street one night, and I knew I needed help, real help. Not a friend's couch, not willpower, something I didn't have and something that I could not manufacture on my own. So I ran and I found a phone booth. I called the operator. I don't know her name, I never will. She was a woman just doing her job in the middle of the night who picked up the phone and got me, a broken man, on the other end. She saved my life. I hadn't thought about her that way until recently, and when I did, just stopped me. Because there are people in your story right now, they're doing something small that they will never know that mattered, and you will spend years not realizing what they gave you. Don't miss those people. That call started the real rebuild. Not the clean version, the actual one. It was ugly, it was slow, it was painful. The kind of rebuild that doesn't have a nice, beautiful montage behind it. I had been sober for about a year. There was no work, no money, and days away from losing my apartment, and I mean days. And that same girlfriend, well, she called me up on a Saturday night, about 11 o'clock at night, and we talked, and I was performing. I was telling her everything was fine, everything was good, the way men do. And then in the middle of that call, something came out of my mouth that had no business being there. I said this: why was I worried? Jesus died for me. That was not me. I was not that man. Those were not my words. And then I told her I had to go. I hung up, I cried for a long time. Then I went to bed and I dreamed. And I'm not going to tell you everything about that dream. Some things, well, they're just between a man and God. But I will tell you this: I met Jesus in a desert, and I woke up a different man. Not a perfect man, not a finished man, a transformed one. It's the only word that fits here: transformed. After that, martial arts became a constant. Same values the military gave me in a different form. The dojo, it has a code. You show up, you earn it. You protect the man beside you. Brotherhood again, but this time with faith underneath it. And then I started talking to people, wanting to help. A pastor told me that I should become a counselor, and he wasn't the first person to say it. So I got certified: Christian counseling, life coaching, nutrition coaching, fitness coaching. Not to build up a resume, but just to serve better. And then I started seeing something on social media that I just couldn't ignore any longer. Men everywhere lost, no sense of worth, no idea who they were in Christ. They were performing, scrolling, drifting. Men who looked exactly like I did in that bus shelter, except for now they are doing it in nice houses with good jobs, and nobody could see the bleeding. That's why this channel exists. That's why Built for Battle exists. It's not for perfect men, not for men who have it all together, but it's for the man who is hanging on by a thread and somewhere deep down refuses to quit. Because here's what I've learned about that man: he would rather give up on himself than let down the people counting on him. And I know that man. I am that man. And I want him to know this: it is okay to get up for yourself. God did not wire you for the streets. He wired you to build. So begin living, even if it's 1 minute. Look at something beautiful. Remember that kind word someone said to you years ago that you never forgot. Write it down. Get up. God has a purpose for you, brother. I know it. That's my story. Not all of it, but enough. If you want to go deeper, well, that's why this channel exists, for exactly that. And if you're ready to stop doing this alone, the link below is where the brotherhood is being built. Victory will come. Be strong, brother.